Hey, it is Monday the 20th. Yeah, so it's Monday the 20th. I have completed Glass Houses by Rachel Kane. I'm going to give it 3.5 carats. I wasn't too sure about it when I started it, but it really started picking up towards the middle. And I was so enthralled by the end. And then when the end got there, I was like, no, my heart. So I might actually read book 2 at some point in my life. But right now, So Glass Houses is about a teenager named Claire. And she's ahead of her class and everything. She's graduated early. She's 16 and her dream is to go to like Caltech, MIT and study science. Her parents are very strict. They're not going to let her do that. She has just turned 16. They don't think that she is mature enough to handle that. So she goes to the college in town, Morganville. I think it's like TPU. But it's in a city called Morganville. And there's a girl there making her life a living hell. I mean, like, if I was in this book and I ran into this character, like, on site. So, she is not only a horrible human being, teasing her, ridiculing her. The book starts with her taking her laundry out of the wash and throwing it in the trash. Just 'cause. Just 'cause. This girl has done nothing to her. This character is just a bitch in the highest form of the word. So, after another snafu where the girls get together and basically push our main character down the stairs, she has decided that she can no longer live in the dorm because it's not safe. No one's coming to her rescue. Everyone is under the influence of this bitchy-ass character, and she is looking for reprieve. She can't tell her parents because her parents will just pull her out of school, and that's not what she wants to do. So her idea is to look for other places to live. In the newspaper, she comes across an ad for the Glass House, and when she gets there, she realizes that Morganville has a lot more things going on than she originally thought, and although Monica, the bitch, is a horrible person and should be at the top of her issues, those aren't the only ones that are gunning for her. I really liked this one. It kind of like refilled my love a little bit for vampires. The age gap is a touch weird for me. Like, the roommates and stuff, like, they're all over 18, like 18 and over, and Claire's 16, so they were trying to do, like, this romance thing, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. She's a minor. I don't know about that. But the characters were enjoyable. The stress was real. Were they gonna make it? And just trying to figure out what the best things to do are in order to keep them safe. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it like 3.5 carats. I am interested in reading the other one, the second book, but I'm not going to until way later. After I complete this Vampire Readathon, I am definitely going to be taking a break from not only the supernatural, but from the vamps too, because I need a break. I need a break. Like, there are all of these thrillers and mysteries looming over me, tantalizing me, so I'm like, ooh, I cannot wait to get done with March so I can get into this. So that's that. This is a new week. It's the first book down for the new week, and it's only Monday, so I'm doing good. I started this Sunday when I went to go get my hair done, and I was about 50% through when my hair was finished, and then I pretty much slept the rest of the day, went to work, read some at work, and then I just finished it like 10 minutes ago. So now, the goal, because all that's left is Carmilla, How to Marry a Billionaire Vampire, Go Hunt Me, Guilty Pleasure. That's all that's left of the marathon. And we still have all of the rest of this week and all of the rest of next week in the month. So I am still feeling very confident that I am going to be able to complete this. So I'm very excited about this. and I'm off to my next one. I think the next one I'm going to read is probably going to be How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire, just so I can get that out of the way. And then we'll only have 3 books left. See you next time. Hop out. Hey guys, it is Saturday the 25th, and I have successfully completed Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. So yeah. It's been like almost a week since I filmed anything, so my brain is kind of empty. Just like ignore that and be patient with me. Let's do a recap of what's been going on. First things first, there are only 3 books left on the list. Go Hunt Me by Kelly DeVos, Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu, and How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire by Carolyn Sparks. Those are the only books that are left on the list. Now, it is the 25th of March, so I only have 6 days left to finish these 3 books. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I've got costumes coming in for Dungeons and Dragons and Super Mario Brothers. That's on the 5th. So, and I'm working, so my mind is like spread pretty thin. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to make an executive decision at this point, because this book was brought in to replace a sequel for a book that I just did not care for. I'm going to go ahead and cut it from the list. So, with me finishing Guilty Pleasures today, that leaves How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire, and that leaves Carmilla. Those are the last 2 books that I'm going to read for the Vampire Readathon. Honestly, I'm tired of fantasy right now. I need to take my fantasy in like small doses, and this was just way too much all at one time. And there were so many books this month that I just wasn't really feeling, that kind of like discouraged me from continuing, so I'm not. So there's only 6 days left in the month. There are 2 books left. Now, if I wind up finishing, I am going to go ahead and cut that from the roster. And I think it's a good thing too, because my mind is just not only split on so many other things not pertaining to books, but my mind is ready for a mystery. My mind is ready for a thriller, okay? The like 3 mystery books that I read in between here when I was cheating on my readathon has like whetted the tonsils, okay? Like, I am fiending for some new mysteries, fiending for more murders to solve. So I already know what the next theme of the readathon is going to be for April, and I already have 4 books picked out, but make sure you stay subscribed so you don't miss out and you can see it when it first airs. I'm going to keep that a secret just a little bit longer. We only have 6 days left in the month. We can do this. I have faith in us. So, let's talk about Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton. I wound up giving this 3.5 carats. It is the 18th book that I've read this year, so I'm feeling pretty proud of myself about that. And Goodreads told me that I started this on the 6th of March, but I think that might have just been when I downloaded the book. I didn't really start reading it until the day after I got my hair done, so that was Sunday. I didn't really start reading it until Monday, maybe Tuesday, I think. So I did pretty darn good, in my opinion. I started it on Tuesday and I finished it on Saturday. But it's an adult fantasy. It was published in 2002. I'm giving it 3.5 carats, and it's basically about a vampire slayer named Anita Blake, and she is an animator. She's a necromancer. She raises zombies from the dead, people from the dead, to become zombies for, like, honestly, pretty normal things. Like, oh, we have a question about your will. we have a woman that's saying that she married you before you died. Like, just like regular things. She works with the police to take care of vampires that are up to no good. The book starts off with a man coming to her office and asking her to look into several murders of vampires around the city. She is not a fan of vampires. I'm not saying that she judges them all the same, but not a fan. You really gotta, put your best foot forward with her. She has a crew of friends and associates that she works with in the area, and they're in St. Louis. So the guy is asking her to investigate the murdered vampires. She says she's not interested. She doesn't have time. She doesn't want to do it. Then her friend Christine is getting married, and she's having a bachelorette party. So she's tired, she's worn out, but she goes to this bachelorette party anyway. The bachelorette party is so last minute, so unplanned, that the only people there is the girl that called her to remind her that the bachelor party was on, and the bride, and herself. That's it. So they go to Guilty Pleasures, which is a vampire strip club in the city. And while she's there, something goes awry. And she winds up belonging to, and the bride winds up belonging to a very dangerous vampire. So in order to keep her friend safe from harm, she is forced to take the vampire case. But she realizes that there's so many other things going on that are entangled within the vampire case, and it gets pretty hairy. I really liked the build-up and the story. I liked the plot, too. When I first heard of Anita Blake, it was like 15, 16 books in when my mom was listening to Dance Macabre, and there was like a literal like 6, 8, 10 person lycanthropy bloodletting orgy. So apparently all the good stuff happens much later, because this book was very light on spice, very light on the romance, and very light on the sexy time. It was a lot more gory, a lot more bloody, a lot more, this is what I have to do to keep myself safe, so I'm going to get my hands dirty kind of thing, which I liked. I don't mind spice, don't mind smut, don't mind erotica, love to read it, but I just like a little hint of a plot, like a little something to wet the tonsils, a little bit of substance. So it was nice to see that this book had it. Now, while I did enjoy trying to figure out who was going around killing master vampires, there were no clues in this book. It wasn't like she was discovering things with you and you could put it together and be like, oh, they did it. It was more like, this is a thing that happened, and this is a thing that happened, and if you connect those two things, then you will see that this thing that happens is important to pay attention to, and then, waha, we have our bad guy. Now, I don't know if all the books are like that, because I haven't read them all, but that's annoying to me. I want to be able to follow along. I want to be able to pick up the clues. I want to have an idea of who the bad guy is as we go through the book. And I did not receive that with this, so I'm not going to consider it a mystery, more of like a thriller. Also, it was kind of light on the romance. I was expecting romance. Like, as I mentioned, book 15, 16, whatever, had like a 12-person orgy. I was expecting a little, smooch. We didn't get that in this. But it was still enjoyable. I still had a good time reading it. Finished it today, giving it a 3.5. Very interested in finishing the series, because I have like the first 5, 6 books in paperback that I got from Half Price Books. So interested in continuing the series. It's very nice to know that I'm not like, I'm done with this, It's nice to know that I'm interested in the characters. I want to see how the story and the series develops. Honestly, I just want to get to the point to where the orgies are going on, because it's such a stark difference from there to what I just read. So I need to know what's going on in the middle. Trying to think. I think that's it. I just wanted to kind of hop in and tell you a little bit about this. I've started Carmilla, and I am chapter 3, chapter 4, I think, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm excited. I'm excited to delve into the new books for April, and I'm excited to bring you guys along on that journey with me. And I'm going to go ahead and peace out so I can get back to reading. I'm Gabs. This is the Ink Bunny. And I'll see you next time. Hop out. So we're at the Friends of the Public Library in the mystery section. I have a giant mystery section, and then there's like general fiction. So you're just gonna come along for the ride with me. I didn't know they have graphic novels for little Gotham. I've already read those though. Let's go check out the mysteries. I have this one, but it's a different cover. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Gabby. This is the Ink Bunny, and I have just completed How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire by Carolyn Sparks. I'm going to go ahead and give this 4 carats. I finished it last night at like 2 a.m. My hair was already in its like bonnet. Now it has been a full 24-ish hours since I finished the book. Thankfully, I was smart enough to write my thoughts down in my book journal, so I'm not full of ums and hays and theys and uhs when I tell you guys what I thought about it. So the first thing I want to talk about is how long it took me to read it. I started it on the 25th, and I finished it on the 28th. So 3 days. It was published in 2009, and it is considered like contemporary romance. I really, really, really liked this book. I wouldn't go as far to say I love it, but compared to the other vampire novels that I've read during this readathon, definitely top 3 easily. It was so funny. Like, it was so funny. I don't think I've ever read a book this funny. Like, laugh out loud, tears, highlighting funny parts, funny. But the gist is that you have this millionaire vampire. His name is Roman. He has his own company, Roma Tech, and he makes creations that make life easier on vampires and humans both. He's created synthetic blood so that vampires can stop chomping on humans. Now, and humans who might be allergic or have some kind of medical defect that can't take blood, they can use this. So he's a hero. He's saving lives. He's, but he is a very old vampire. Like, he's a virgin. He was a monastery, like, medical boy before he was turned into a vampire, like, lots of things. So he carries a lot of guilt. So even though he's doing all these things for all these people, he's like, oh, I'm a bad person, like, no one's ever gonna love me, the whole vampire shtick. But basically, he's making this synthetic blood. He's trying to stop vampires from chomping on mortals, humans, and he has two guys working for him, Gregory, who is a younger vampire. He's kind of funny. And then he has Laszlo, who I love. He's just this, like, completely anxious little chubby vampire that works on all of his tech and removes buttons from everything. Like, he'll sit there and he'll just, like, nervously twist them until they've fallen off, basically. All of his lab coats should have buttons, but they don't, because he's so nervous throughout the day that they just fall off. I know it doesn't sound funny, but when I was reading it, I found that really endearing. I really enjoyed that character. So basically, these guys are like, okay, you've created synthetic blood, but people are still biting off, still chomping on humans, so here's our idea, Vanna. And it's basically a sex doll. And in the sex doll, all of her parts, her inside workings, have been removed to put in tubing so that you can insert your favorite blood flavor and then, bite her. Now, it's a sex doll, so all of the insides are like, metal, plastic, rubber, hard, even if her skin is still soft to touch. So while he's testing out this new project, his fang gets stuck in the doll and he has to pull it out, which means it's been removed from his mouth. So he is about to host this big party and he only has one fang. He only has the left fang. The right fang has fallen out. So to avoid being called Lefty for the rest of his immortal life, he's like, okay, I gotta find a dentist, and it has to be during the night because he's a vampire, so he can't be out during the day. So he finds this 24-hour dental clinic, like a 24-hour dental clinic. Where? Like, that was probably the most fantastical part about this whole thing. A dental clinic that's open 24 hours, come on. But the woman that works at the I keep wanting to call it a dentist parlor. I know that's not what it's called, but my brain won't let me not use that. It keeps giving that to me instead of dentistry clinic or dental clinic. It keeps giving me dentist parlor. She works at the 24-hour dentist office. Her name is Shauna, and she's a dentist. He shows up to get his fang fixed, and she's like, I'm not going to input this animal tooth in you, because of course she doesn't know that he's a vampire. And he's like, this is, dire. I'm going to be sleeping. Like, I have lots of plans. I need this put back in. And she's like, absolutely not. And now, turns out that this woman is on the run from the Russian mob. So, he decides to save her, because how else is he going to get his tooth fixed? And then from there, hilarity ensues. I don't think I have highlighted a book as much as I did this one. I'll have the link down below so that you can check out all the highlights on Goodreads, but I think this might be my most highlighted novel since joining Goodreads, which was pretty wild to me. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if I said how many carrots I gave it, but I'm giving it 4 carrots. And I'm kind of excited to continue the series. I probably won't do it for a while because I definitely need a vampire break. But I might actually make it to book 4, the one that I own, because I actually like the first book of the series. So that's really neat. We are on our last book of the Vampire Readathon. There are 3 days left, and that is Carmilla. So it's taking me a while. It shouldn't be taking me this long because it's only got like 116 pages, but it's a classic. So like it was originally in French, and then they translated it to English, and it doesn't flow as well as I was like hoping. So I'm having trouble with it. I'm I want to say about 20% of the way through. I still have until Friday to complete this book and to complete the Vampire Readathon. I'm so proud of myself. Because I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I literally put like 9-10 books on this list. What is wrong with me? Why do I do this to myself? And I do this to myself every time. Why? Went to the bookstore 3 times and got some books. You'll be seeing those probably next week or the week after next in my book haul for the month. But I believe that I have chosen the books that I'm going to read in April for April's readathon. So make sure that you like, subscribe, so that you don't miss out and you're always abreast of when there's a new readathon and you can come join me. We have like 100-ish pages left in the book. I'm gonna get this done, and then you'll see me for a book haul, and then you'll see me with the April theme readathon for the month. Why is language so hard? You'll see me with the theme for April's readathon. And I'm gonna go to bed now. I'm Gabby, this is the Ink Bunny. I will see you next time. How about... Welcome back. Don't mind my appearance. I just came back from Dungeons & Dragons. If you haven't seen it, it's great. Go see it. Highly recommend. I'm back. It is Friday. It's like 1 a.m. on Friday. And I have completed Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. I'll make this real short because I am running on empty. Like this. Fumes. Okay? Straight fumes. I went ahead and gave this a 2.5. I am not a classics girl. There's a reason I don't do classics. It's an Irish classic, and then it was translated into, like, I guess readable English, not Celtic, not Irish languages. And it took, like, extra work. So, like, every page that I read, I had to go back and, like, organize it into a way my brain understood it and then move on. So even though it only had like 156 pages, this felt like a 250 page book. It only took me 3 days to read it once I actually settled down to finish it, but I did start it earlier in the month. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong. It's not a bad book. I just am used to books being written a certain way, and this was not it, and it made it difficult for me to kind of catch up and get into the swing of things. But once I got into the swing of things, it was rather enjoyable. I do think one thing is interesting. The entire story is about Carmilla. The main character and the narrator who tells you the story, her name is Laura. And you'll forget that because her name is mentioned like maybe 5 times in the whole book. Everything centers around Carmilla and how the story affects Carmilla and how Carmilla affected other people. But very little of it is about the actual other people that Carmilla affected. Basically, Laura and her father have a castle in the woods, and along the path one day while they're walking and enjoying the scenery, there's a woman and her daughter. Her daughter is very like languished, very lethargic, and she is pulled away suddenly for a life and death excursion that her daughter won't survive through. So she asks Laura's father to host her for a couple of weeks. And even though they don't know them at all, they say yes. Why would you let her up in your home and you don't know anything about her? Why would you do that? And then they take her in, and Laura is plagued by these like nightmares, and she had the nightmare, or she had a nightmare similar before she met Carmilla, and the character in the nightmare looked like Carmilla, but Carmilla states that like they're the same and they've been made for each other, and basically she like courts her. It's sapphic as fuck, which was cool, but like it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And the entire like, oh, she's a vampire, we have to stake her scene, that could have been like dope. And it just wasn't. It was just a run-of-the-mill vampire story. And this is just me being me, and I know that I'm not a classics person. Like, I don't understand how this could have influenced Dracula. Because I'm not influenced at all. I'm glad this was the last book, because I'm done with vampires, and I can get a breath of fresh air and look at some different stuff. But this Carmilla just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. And that's okay. Sometimes it's just not. It doesn't mean it's a bad book. It just means for me, I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. And I think it's pretty clear that I need to stay away from classics. Modern fiction only, please and thank you. So yeah, that finishes the Vampire Readathon. I am beyond tired, so I'm gonna go crash. The 8 books that I read for the Vampire Readathon: Vampiric Vacation by Kirsten White, Fangs by Sarah Anderson, Pretty Dead by Francesca Leah Block, Better Off Read by Rebecca Weatherspoon, Glass Houses by Rachel Cade, Guilty Pleasures by Laurel K. Hamilton, How to Marry a Millionaire Vampire by Carolyn Sparks, and finally Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu. That closes the book on our Vampire Readathon. See what I did there? And that brings me to letting you know that on Monday, April the 3rd, I will be releasing the announcement video for April's theme for April's Readathon, and I hope to see you all there and to join me in reading our new set of books. I will let you know that April is only mystery and thrillers, so we're going back to our roots. This is the Ink Bunny. I'm Gabs, and I'll see you next time. Hop out!